This video is sponsored by Misty Mountain Gaming. You can find out more about them later in the video. Are you looking for a new RPG? Something fresh to try that mixes up your usual weekly games? Maybe you love trying new things, or perhaps you're looking for your first trip into something else after D&D. Either way, I'm here to share some amazing games you should be playing in 2023. Not all of these are brand new or even came out this year, but they are things the Dicebreaker team have been loving. From being teen superheroes to solving supernatural mysteries, I'm covering all sorts of genres and systems. Let me know what games you'd recommend in the comments below, as I am always looking for new things to pick up and try. But otherwise, I'm Maddie from Dicebreaker, and these are 7 RPGs that you should be playing in 2023. If you like fantasy RPGs, it's likely that you also like Lord of the Rings. Tolkien is the father of modern fantasy, setting up the elves, dwarves, dragons, and more that we know and love today. So if you enjoyed that kind of world, why not go straight to the source and just play in Middle-earth? The One Ring is the definitive Lord of the Rings RPG, providing a perfect toolset to bring your games into Tolkien's world, playing through your favorite parts from the films and books, or writing your own stories and changing history. Character creation is really flexible while staying true to the setting. You're not married to a class, instead cherry-picking skills, weapons, distinctive features, and more. It means you can create a dwarf with a penchant for riddles and song, an elf who's a master with a sword, or a hobbit scholar tasked with charting new land. Whoever you make, you join together in a fellowship to follow quests and set forth onto your adventures. It provides the fun you want from any fantasy RPG, but the unique rule set seems to set it apart for the particularly cinematic nature of Lord of the Rings. This is felt in combat especially. You don't track distances and minute detail. Instead, you and the enemy both face off in a series of dramatic moves that keep fights fluid and interesting. So it very much feels like a fresh fantasy game with all the extra Tolkien goodness you want, from terrifying Nazgul to quests from Gandalf. Look, you've played your favorite fantasy RPG. Now, what about second fantasy RPG? If you've ever played games like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the God of War series, or Age of Mythology, and been enamored with the golden sands and petty gods of ancient Greek mythology, you might assume that the world is really fertile ground for a tabletop role-playing game. You might then be shocked to learn, after looking at the rich tapestry of modern media that's been inspired by the birthplace of democracy, big-plumed helmets, and sweaty homoerotic men, that there's not a whole lot of tabletop role-playing games that delve into that world. I've got such a fondness for this Mediterranean melting pot of a historical setting, especially if you're throwing in the classical fantasy elements of their pantheon and monsters. So I was delighted a few years back when John Harper and Sean Nittner of Blades in the Dark released an Odyssey-inspired road trip RPG of Greek heroes saving the day on their desperate quest to return home. Much like Odysseus himself, you'll find that the journey far outweighs the destination, as travel from rocky crag to lush Grecian paradise, aiding the locals with their problems and seeking out adventure to bring stock to your name. Your characters are built up of various improvable dice that reflect your story and position in the world. Whether it's the historical epithet by which you're known, your connection to the gods of the ancient Greek pantheon, or the trophies of your past escapades. As your journey continues, you'll develop relationships with your fellow warriors and adventurers, draw the ire and favor of the gods, and gradually rise your pathos as Hades begins to sing your name. Will you find your way home or die trying? There's only one way to find out. I've previously made a video on the very best superhero RPGs to play, and since then have fallen in love with Masks: A New Generation. This is where you take on the role of teen heroes, fighting crime and fighting hormones as you try to be the best version of you that you can, while struggling with all the issues that come along with being a teenager. The playbooks that you use in this provide you with cool powers, but also things to overcome. My character that I played was the Scion, the child of a famous villain trying to do right, but every time she faltered or got angry, she felt the influence of her evil mother. So you're constantly trying to grow into the hero you want to become, but making plenty of mistakes along the way. And having an excuse to mess up is actually really fun for an RPG. You're a teen, so you really get to play into those stereotypes of miscommunication, angst, and even terrible romance. I was kind of reluctant to play a younger character at first, but it's actually really fun. Plus, because Masks is powered by the apocalypse, it's relatively rules-light, which means you can actually get really creative with how your superpowers look and work too. Of course there are limits, but playbooks generally allow you to select a theme to work from, like elemental controls, super strength, telekinesis, and then how that looks is all down to you. So if you want a fun, flexible game that lets you live out your favorite Saturday morning cartoons like Teen Titans and Young Justice, then definitely give Masks: A New Generation a go. Head to the Mythic North in Nordic horror role-playing game Vaesen, based on the illustrations of Swedish illustrator Johan Ögerkrans. I hope that I'm saying that right, sorry if I'm not. Vaesen brings the spooky folklore to your table. You play in a society fractured by the burgeoning industrialization, splitting the world into bustling metropolitan cities and isolated country communities. Within this setting, in the cold Scandinavian winters, you play as investigators who explore the world of the weird creatures who lurk in the shadows, the Vaesen. Sometimes they can be harmless house spirits, others can become vengeful beasts. It is your job to visit the communities troubled by these strange goings-on, to discover what Vaesen afflicts them, and work out how to calm them, dispel them, or fix what's made them mad in the first place. Vaesen are not evil beings after all. They are creatures to be understood and oftentimes helped. You don't go into these quests ready to fight monsters. In fact, like many horror RPGs, you're a fragile human who would be killed from the first scratch of a revenant. Instead, you need to search for clues, study up on local folklore, and eventually trek into a dark forest or dripping well to face the things that others fear. The art alone is outstanding, evoking the feeling of fairy tales creeping into the real world. But Vaesen also has a solid rule set to back it up, making it a fantastic RPG of supernatural mysteries and a changing world. It's time to chat about our wonderful sponsor for this video. Misty Mountain Gaming create RPG accessories and dice for D&D and beyond. You could pick up a lovely leather dice tray ready for your next campaign, or a class pin to share your love of spellcasting and fighting with the world. Or you can find the perfect set of dice for your next game, from metal to glass to gemstone sets in every color and all sorts of styles. My personal favorite are the Spellcaster glass dice. Just look at those details. Head over to mistymountaingaming.com or follow the link in the description to pick up your own set now. Kids on Bikes is the ultimate RPG for reliving the best 80s summer blockbusters. The Goonies, E.T., Gremlins, although that is kind of weirdly a Christmas film. Basically, it's your chance to play out your game like Stranger Things or It. You take on the role of kids, younger or older, enjoying the freedom of youth and exploring the weird goings-on around you. You are kids on bikes, having big adventures in small towns. The game is relatively rules-light, prioritizing storytelling over crunchy mechanics, but it's also a collaborative game, meaning it's not just on the game master to build it all out. As a group, you create a town, populate it with weird rumors to investigate, and then build your kids. You can lean into classic movie tropes like the loner weirdo, brilliant mathlete, or laid-back slacker, or craft someone with unique strengths and flaws. However, like the world, this is also something you don't do in isolation. Everyone has questions to ask the other kids at the table to build out a group, with fights, love, drama, everything you'd expect from kids trying to work together. From there, you can cycle off into adventures, exploring town mysteries, strange whispers, and meeting powered characters. These are your E.T., your Gremlins, your 11. They become part of the group and are actually co-controlled by everyone else as the team tries to get them home, keep them safe, or stop them from hurting people. Kids on Bikes is a really fun RPG for indulging in some nostalgia, getting to play out your own blockbuster, and creating those fun, heady summer memories you absolutely loved as a kid. It's time to try a different dragon RPG, one where gentle dragons create the world and care about the tales told there. Ryuutama is a self-described natural world RPG. It focuses on pastoral settings, tapping into a sense of wanderlust and getting in touch with nature. Like any classic fantasy RPG, it has combat, which is very much inspired by JRPG video games, but the emphasis overall is about exploring the land, finding out who your character is, and enjoying what the world has to offer. As players, you're not deadly warriors. Instead, you take on the role of ordinary people setting out to see the world before they settle down. You play as merchants, hunters, minstrels, all joining together in small parties, helping people you meet, and occasionally fighting monsters that lurk in the world. Ryuutama doesn't have a specific setting to play in. It's a medieval-style time, but one of peace and craft. And, of course, it's populated with dragons. Prairie dragons wander the land, planting seeds where fire laid the earth bare, or cloud dragons bunch together in sleepy groups to make a day overcast. I know, it's almost too cute to handle, but we have to be strong. The rest of the history, towns, and other cultures are up to you as a group, allowing you to get creative with what kind of game you want. And if you're like me, at this point you have one question: is there magic? Yes! Protect yourself with a blast of shooting stars, create a rainbow bridge to cross, or distract some scary monsters with a stuffed animal. Yes, this game is amazing. If you're looking for the grittiest, most heartbreaking, and morally compromising role-playing opportunities possible, set against the backdrop of a dystopian cyberscape, do we have the RPG for you? Cyberpunk Red is a game that wants to challenge what you already know of role-playing by taking you away from the relative security of playing a Dungeons & Dragons hero and placing you in Night City as an edgerunner, trying to break away from obscurity and make a name for yourself in a harsh and uncaring setting. When you take on Night City, you're probably going to start off as nothing special. Maybe you have a few net running skills that could come in handy on a job. Maybe you have a trace of medical experience as a medtech, which is going to give you an edge in this world where you will be left dying on the street if you don't have medical cover. Or maybe you're a corporate stooge who's taken one too many losses and decides to take things into their own hands. Whatever the case, there will be more than enough jobs courtesy of fixers who have no issues of pulling the strings and getting those eddies, aka Eurodollars, the currency of the game. We might have just said a lot of words that don't make sense to you just yet, but don't worry, you'll get there. When your character ends their time in Night City, they're probably going to end it with a bang, taking down a huge corporation, being hunted down for their ever-increasing cyber psychosis, or simply paying the price for a job gone wrong. Yes, death is likely for a character in Cyberpunk. But the feeling of playing a character who is dancing along the line between life and death is freeing in a way. Also, if you really want to get in character and do your research, you have a plethora of source material to refer to. The Cyberpunk Edgerunners anime is not only a great piece of media, but it really shows off the stakes of the cyberpunk setting. The same goes for the video game, allowing you to experience for a day the life of a cyberpunk. This is an RPG that really shouldn't be slept on. Try it once and you'll be hooked. So, those were 7 more RPGs that you can play in 2023 instead of D&D. Let us know what you've been playing recently in the comments below. As I said, I love to hear about new games. For more videos on RPGs, stick around on Dicebreaker. We have tons of things on reviews and recommendations, plus our very own actual play, so you can check out us in action playing an RPG. You can also head over to dicebreaker.com for articles on everything to do with the tabletop world, from news to reviews and everything in between. And if you want even more from us, you can also become a Dicebreaker member.